welcome back to my channel and my craft table. Thanks so much for being here with me. Today is day 5 of my 2025 Christmas crafting series. In today's video, we're going to be creating a great gift that not only is just super sweet, but it is also a little bit of decor at the same time. And the items that we're making today, you could give them together as a set, or you could break them apart and give them to multiple people. So without further ado, let's head on down to that craft table and get started. So today's video is something that I'm super excited about because I have some of these. These are standard pillowcases, and I purchased these off of Amazon. Recently, my daughter had a slumber party for her 14th birthday, and so I ordered a huge pack of these pillowcases and some paint markers, the fabric paint markers, and they just had a great time customizing their pillowcases. So I have 3 left over, and I thought these would make great gifts. You could pair them with some like lavender spray. You could pair them with an eye mask, like just whatever kind of sleepy time stuff that you think of. You could gift them with a pillowcase that is custom for the holidays. So I have 3 here, and then we're going to be using this glitter iron-on. So this is the HTV. I have 2 by Caesar, and I have 2 by Make Market, which is the Michaels brand. And both of these work great. I am just going to be using a standard grip Cricut Joy Extra matte, so I'll be using my Joy Extra today. I have scissors, a weeding tool, some heat-resistant tape. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I just have it just in case. And then today I'm going to go ahead and use my Easy Press Mini. So I do have my pressing mat right here underneath my desk, and I'll pull that out when it's time. So let's hop over into Design Space. First, I'm going to show you the designs that I picked out and how I adjusted them just slightly. And then we will get these cut out and pressed on to our pillowcases.
All right, so now it's time to create our Christmas border for the pillowcases. And I just used a couple of designs in Design Space, but I want to show you where they were and what I did with them to kind of make them my own. So you can see here I've got the candy canes, and I've got reindeer, and I've got Christmas trees. I'm going to go ahead and select all of these and group them together, and then I'm going to hide them for right now. And I'm going to show you what I did with them. So next, let's go over to shapes, and I want to pull in a square, and we're actually going to resize this. So I'm going to unlock the proportions at the top. Let's just make it a 21 by 21 square because I'm really more concerned with the width than anything else. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to lock those proportions. I don't want it to change. And our pillowcases are white, so let me just change that to white. Okay, so this square right here is going to represent my pillowcases. And again, I'm not worried about the height. I'm really just more concerned with the width. And now that I think about it, I probably need to go up to about 20, well, almost 22. So just measure your pillowcase and how wide it is. Okay, and I'm just going to move that over there for right now. Next, I want to go to images, and I spent a lot of time looking for exactly what I wanted to put along the border of the pillowcase, and I did come up with a lot of things. So the first thing that I want to pull in, and I'll just go ahead and type in what they're called, but candy cane line. So I tried the word line and border and everything, and so basically I was looking for things like this. And then this is the one I decided on. So it has some little star pieces or snowflake kind of pieces, and then 2 candy canes in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and bring it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Christmas tree. Okay, so Christmas tree line. Okay, and this is the one that I chose. I'm going to bring that one in. And you'll notice that one is a lot smaller than the candy canes. That'll be okay. All right. And then let's do the same thing with the reindeer. Okay, and that one's right at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that one, bring that in, and now I'm going to collapse this menu. And let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what we have going on here. A candy cane, we have a reindeer, and we have a Christmas tree. Now, there's about 2 of the Christmas trees will fit one of the other lines, so we will be having more Christmas trees than the others. Now, as far as the candy canes are concerned, I am going to change this up just a bit. I want to duplicate the candy cane. I'm just going to kind of bring that right under there like that. On the top one, I want to go to contour down here in the bottom of my layers panel, and I want to hide all contours. Okay, and you'll notice it gets rid of everything except for one of the snowflakes. So I'm going to bring back in the candy cane and deselect that little snowflake star. And then I want to go through and grab all of these little parallelograms that we have going on here. Okay, it looks like I have a few more. You can also do this in that side menu over here. Sometimes that is definitely faster. And you just find the ones that are darkened and select them, and they turn light in this layer, this little menu over here. Okay, so here is my candy cane. I'm going to click apply. You'll see that everything is gone except for the candy canes. Now the bottom one, I'm going to go ahead and select it and then click on contour at the bottom. Now this time I just want to get rid of all of the candy cane pieces. I think I'll make this a little faster. I'm going to go ahead and just click all of these right here. And I'm just going to keep scrolling all the way down. Okay, I have all of my pieces deselected. And then I'm going to click apply. So now I have just the snowflake line and just the candy cane. As far as the snowflakes are concerned, I want to change those. Let's do like a silver. I'm going to choose this little light gray. So I want to do a silver glitter and a red glitter. Thought those would be a nice contrast. Okay, and then let's go. I'm going to move the stars to the top, and then I want to select both of them and go to edit. And I want to do a line, and I want to do center horizontally. When I zoom in, let's zoom in so you can see. I just want to see if I like the placement of the candy cane. If you were to do a line center vertically, it would push this line up a little bit more, and then it wouldn't look, it wouldn't look right. So this is what I did. All right, so now that's the way I want it. I'm going to select both of those and go over here to group. Okay, and then I'm going to double click the word group, and I'm going to write candy cane. Okay, and then I'm going to, let's duplicate it 2 more times. And then I'm going to zoom out and go find this little pillowcase that we made. Okay, and then I am going to see how many I need. So I have 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. I think I need to make them a little bit bigger. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a moment. I'm going to select all of those, and I want to go to edit, and I want to go to align, and I want to do distribute horizontally. Okay, so now they're evenly spaced, and then I will click on group. So now they're one big thing. Okay, so this is my group here. I'm going to move it over, and then I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. In fact, I can even get the fine number there. Okay, so for our pillowcase purposes, I think that is great. So the entire group of candy canes is about 21. Okay, however, they're going to not cut in one big long line. They're going to cut as separate pieces because I just have them grouped together. All right, so there is our candy cane line. Now, as far as our reindeer are concerned, I'm actually going to do the same thing. So let's zoom in. All right, I am going to duplicate it. Then I will go to contour. I will hide all contours, select the reindeer, deselect the snowflake, hit apply. I'm going to change this to like a yellowish color. That's going to represent my gold glitter. And then here with the snowflakes, I'm going to click on contour, and I'm going to deselect the reindeer and hit apply. And then I'm going to bring down, that looks about right to my eye, but I do want to go to edit, align, center horizontally. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's a little bit too far over for me, so I'm just going to move this back just a bit. Okay, and then here's what I noticed when I made this the first time is this star's point and the edge of this little inside line right here, they line up. I need to change these snowflakes to a silver. So we got gold and silver glitter, and then I am going to group those, and then I'm going to duplicate them. All right, let's zoom out and go to our pillowcase. So we're going to have like one there, and one there. And actually, I don't think I need to resize that at all. So let me move the square out of the way. I'm going to select all 3 of the reindeer lines, go to Edit, go to Align, center vertically, so they're all on the same horizontal line, so to speak. And then I'm going to click it again and go to Distribute horizontally. So now they're evenly spaced. And then I will click Group one more time. So my reindeer line is done. Perfect. And then here's my trees. Now let's zoom in. And remember, I said about 2 of the trees would equal 1 of the others. So we're going to probably need about 6 of these. I'm going to duplicate the tree. Bring this down. I'm going to go to Contour. I'm going to hit Hide All Contours. And then I'm going to select all of the tree pieces. And I need to select that tiny little star in there. Let me go down here. I think it'll be easier. And I'll get rid of that snowflake on the way and bring the star in. There we go. That looks great. And I'm going to go ahead and change that to green. Okay. And then this line here, select it, go to Contour. And this time I want to get rid of the tree. So I'm going to select all these little pieces, just like that. Click Apply. Okay, and I'm going to leave those red. And then I'm going to bring this tree up. Let me zoom in for you. Okay, and then this star right here, the little point is kind of there in the matching. So let's see. Let's click on both of them. Go to Edit. Go to Align. Center horizontally. That tree is exactly in the middle. Collapse that. Let's group it. And then I actually need like 6 of these. So I'm going to duplicate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times for a total of 6. I'm going to zoom out. Okay. And then I'm going to just put them next to each other. And then our little grid lines from the Cricut are actually being quite helpful. I'll zoom out a little bit more. That's probably way too much zoomed out, but that's okay. Now I've got my line. I'm going to do select all of them. I'm going to go to Edit, then Align, and then Distribute horizontally. If I notice, see how it looks a little bit longer than the reindeer? So let's come into the design. Maybe we need to make them just a little bit closer. Just ever so slightly, like this. Okay, let's zoom out and see if we've got some semblance of the same. Yep, they look about the same. So I'm going to select all of them. Come over here to the Layers panel and click on Group. And then if I move that up, see how they kind of all look exactly the same length? All right, so I actually don't need the square because we're not going to be cutting a pillowcase. And then when I go to the Make screen, I want to show you what that looks like. Okay, so here are all of my stars. Now remember, 3 of my stars are going to be reserved for the candy cane and 3 will be reserved for the reindeer. Then we have these little bitty stars. Those are going to be for my Christmas tree part. Actually, let me move those over here. But I do want to space them out a little bit. I like my designs to have some breathing room. So I'm just going to space these out. I find it easier for me when I do the weeding. It's just to have everything spaced out a little bit. And then I can have these candy canes like that. All right. And then I would have the reindeer line. and then you can see the tree line. Now, when I actually do cut these out, I will probably rearrange all of these elements so that they end up on one mat physically. The Cricut doesn't really know what colors I'm putting where, but I will move the elements around onto one mat, and then I will have my colors laid out on that mat where they need to go, and then I can just cut everything with one pass. That's probably what I'm going to do. All right, so just things to keep in mind is when I click on continue, I am going to be doing one mat, but I would be doing browse all materials. I'm going to come down here to iron on, and I would click on glitter iron on and done. And then I always use more pressure. And because it's iron on, then the Cricut will automatically mirror the design, but you might want to just double check that it is mirrored, like just double check here in that corner. If you leave everything on separate mats, you can click this little box that says remember material settings, and then you don't have to adjust it every single time. All right, well, let's head back over to the craft table and get our mat prepared and everything cut out.
All right, before we get our mat ready, I need to cut down my vinyl, and I am going to place all 4 colors on my mat at one time. So I just need to make sure that I have the right amount of vinyl for each color so that I can place it in the correct spot on the mat. Okay, so silver will be at the top of the mat. Then we're going to have red. Red will be next. I'd say it's about 2.5, but I think I'm going to do 2 3/4. So that'll go next. For the gold layer, I need probably about 1.5 inches. And then down at the bottom, we'll be doing green. Okay, so I have all of those cut down to size. So next it's time to place these on our mat. So something I forgot to mention in the supplies at the beginning is brayer. I use a brayer anytime I put anything down on a mat, whether it is vinyl, sticker paper, cardstock, whatever. And then I'm going to need a lint roller for those pillowcases. All right, and then I'm actually going to have to cut this down sideways. I forgot about that, but on your HTV, okay, even just like, so with your HTV, regardless of what type it is, the shiny side goes down. So we're going to be putting this right here, but I actually don't need to go past the 6.5 mark. So I'm going to, before I secure that down all the way, I'm just going to take my scissors. I got so excited and I kind of forgot to cut down the excess, because your Joy Extra, it's only 8.5 wide. And quite frankly, I tend to use my 12 by 12 mats with my maker more. All right, so for the gold layer, which is next, I'm gonna need 5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and snip that. And we're gonna place this, well, we're gonna straddle it kind of right above the 7. Secure that down. And now for my red, well, red's gonna get pretty much the whole thing. So I'm gonna go all the way to the 8, and this is gonna be placed right around the 3 mark. And finally our silver, and that right about the 7 mark. Okay, so all this glitter is still the leftover glitter HTV is now good for another project. Okay, And this actually saves a lot of time. And the only trick is to make sure that you know where the different elements need to be placed on your screen to match your mat, so that when you cut it out, the items that are cut in their position on the mat are the color that you want from the vinyl. So I'm just going to double check real quick. So the top is my silver. That's great position. And then the next one is my red. Okay, my next layer is the gold. That is in great position there. And then I have my green. So everything looks like it's in the right spot. All right, I'm gonna bring in my Cricut Joy Extra. So on my screen, I am going to simply go to Browse All Materials, and I'm gonna go to Iron On, and I'm gonna select Glitter Iron On. And then I'm going to also choose More Pressure. I really like that when I'm doing glitter. And then it's prompting me to put the mat in. It's gonna load the mat. All right, now that it's all loaded, it's prompting me to click my Go button. I'll do that. This is gonna cut everything out in one pass. Then it'll tell me to unload the mat, and then we can move on to the next step. All right, now my computer is prompting me to unload. So I'm gonna do that and move this out of the way. Okay, and then we're going to bend our mat back. We're gonna pull all 4 colors off. All right, now something that I like to do before I hit done and go back to my main screen is I like to just, while it is on the cutting screen, I like to bring up the mat, and I click edit there on the left, bring up the mat, and then I just look and see like, where is everything? Glitter can be a little hard to see, but I'm hoping that we won't really have too much of an issue with this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to weed out all 4 of these colors. If you haven't worked with this Michaels, this Make Market Glitter HTV, it actually works pretty darn well. I've been rather pleased with it. And, you know, Caesar's a pretty big player in the vinyl game. So their product is definitely great. But in the event that you, like me, I needed certain colors and they weren't available right at that moment. So I just went with the Michaels brand and they work just fine. And it's a really nice glitter feel to it. It's very smooth. And I don't want to say soft, but I don't know another word for it. So, all right, so here is my silver. And those are going to go with my reindeer. So, how is your holiday season going? Do you make crafts or like decor for your home or other people? Do you make gifts? Do you make cards? I kind of do a little bit of everything. I really enjoy it. So this little video series is just my hodgepodge way of getting everything taken care of. And so I really am just kind of going through each day that I'm filming and seeing, well, what do I think I could get done today? Okay, look how nice these trees are weeding out. Now this green here, this is the Caesar Easy Weed. Look at that. So cute. I love that. And then I'm going to have 3 rows, just like I did with the silver. Perfect. Look at that. Fantastic. So anyway, let me know down in the comments, what kind of crafting do you do for the holidays? And also let me know, like, are you ahead? Are you behind? Or are you just right on time? I'm not sure that I'm ahead, but I'm not sure I'm behind either. I decided this year I do need to make my Christmas cards. But other than making my Christmas cards, okay, so this red, so to interrupt my story here, so this red, the design is really tiny. It's the same kind of design, but the elements are really tiny. So I'm gonna have to be really careful with this one. But I decided I want to make my Christmas cards, so there's that. But I thought that I would just make decor and or gifts as needed. And I do need to make some teacher gifts, so there is that. But I would say Christmas cards, teacher gifts. This is another reason why I like to use the more pressure setting. I just find that everything just seems to cut a lot easier. I'm going to take care of this, and you take care of getting a fresh cup of coffee or tea, whatever your favorite beverage is. And I will see you in just a few minutes. All right, that was a little bitty labor of love, but I think that did a great job nonetheless. And I did find like a little silver on the glass mat, so I had to grab that and put it back on there, but other than that, it was pretty good. And so now I just have to go through and pull off these stripes from these candy canes. Okay, that came out really good. I think really maybe the pin tool would be really good for this part. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut this away. So this is a great way to kind of keep track of your little pieces. And then that can just go there in the trash can. So here are all of our parts and pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Easy Press Mini. Get that ready. And then we need to start building our little pillowcases. Okay, so these are just some very inexpensive plain white pillowcases. Now I picked these up on Amazon, like I told you earlier, for my daughter's birthday. And can I just say that, wow, they're super soft, like really soft. I am going to just lint roll this bottom piece here. So these have been washed and dried. And I think actually what would be most helpful would be to use my glass mat as a guide. And then I have this little fabric ruler here. I just remembered this, but basically this pillowcase right here is 21 inches long or wide. So that's going to be 10.5. So this right here is my middle point, and right there. So that is the middle point. This is where I need one of my reindeers to go. Okay, so I'm going to cut these 3 reindeer apart. And I want to get them kind of close as far as the carrier sheet. I'm going to get that pretty close to the reindeer without cutting into it. Let's go ahead and now my glass mat here can take a little bit of heat. And so I'm just kind of going over this super fast, getting out some of that moisture, giving it a nice smooth surface. Okay, so like I said, 10.5 is the midpoint, and I want this to be about 1 inch from the bottom. That there, I'm going to put one of my reindeer right here, just like that. Okay, and then I am going to cut apart these because these are going to go on either side of my reindeer. Okay. For instance, this will go right there, like that. And this one will go on the other side. Bring this back in as my guide for the bottom piece. So now that I got the reindeer in the middle, and I have this piece right here, I'm going to line up this ruler so that it is parallel to that line right there. And then I'm just going to keep going. Now this particular side actually goes up underneath. Well, I gotta have to take this up a little bit. So with all these reindeer, the legs, there we go, that'll work. Okay, so that reindeer is right there. Now I got it. Now I can kind of see what I'm doing here. We'll go right down in here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then we're going to do it again. And I guess the big thing is just make sure that your transfer sheets are not, they're not laying on top of another piece that is a design element, because then you're going to be just ironing the transfer, or the iron-on vinyl will be on top of the transfer sheet, and then you're just basically doing pretty much nothing there. Nothing at that point. Once you get kind of the first thing started, then it actually will go pretty easy. And I would say the reindeer is probably the most challenging because the legs and the diamond kind of they kind of overlap each other in a way. And to be honest, I'm not sure a recipient would sit here and measure your pillowcase. Unless it is like extremely wonky, I think any little microscopic, angle off, I think that'll be okay. Okay, so here is the edge of my pillowcase. Now, before I actually press this down, I am actually going to just use this little ruler, and I want to see am I off? Like, how much off am I if I line everything up? All right, so I actually think it's really good. So I am going to take my pillowcase, and I don't want to move anything too much, but I'm just going to lay this down. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Easy Press Mini to go ahead and start ironing down the glitter HTV, and I'm going to monitor this project really closely I love this little easy press. It's so handy. You can get into all the little nooks and crannies that you need, but you'll be able to see where, like, see the little carrier sheet paper here is already, it's just coming up on its own. I'll just kind of peel that up the rest of the way. Look how easy peasy that was. Okay, now right over here, I have some exposed vinyl. So I'm going to just take a little Teflon sheet and I'm going to cover that up. And you can actually kind of see, as you're working, you can see when the carrier sheet kind of starts to pull up on its own. Now, to be honest, probably need to let this sit for a minute, but I'm going to press it again anyway. Perfect. Okay, then I'm going to just iron out the impression of that transfer. That looks so good. And I'm just using a Teflon sheet. I got this at the Dollar Tree. It's like in a big roll, kind of like aluminum foil. And I cut a piece down into a 12 by 12. And then I cut the extra here into like some pieces that I could use for small projects. Very, very handy. Okay. And then there is the edge of our super festive pillowcase. Look at that. That's so cute. Love it. Okay, I'm going to set this aside, let this get nice and cool. And then we're going to get the other ones done. And something I thought of that might make the process easier is folding it in half and going along this bottom edge and getting a nice crease here in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to put that flat like this. See, and now I don't have to worry that this is on the 10.5 mark because that's the middle. I do need to run my lint roller over this bottom edge. Okay, so the next one that I want to do is the Christmas trees. And I'm going to do green Christmas trees, and then I'm going to do the red lines. And I think this one will go a little faster because everything's kind of blocky, and I don't have to worry about going around the profile of a reindeer. So I'm just going to trim off these trees. Okay, so there are my trees, and then I'm going to cut these vertical pieces, and then I'll cut them horizontally. All right, so I have all of my reds and my trees cut apart. Now what I want to do is I think I want to try and work a little smarter. So I'm going to place this ruler. There's like a little railroad track kind of looking piece. And then there's a black line right underneath that. So I think I want to put the black line against the edge of my pillowcase. I think I need to like link all these together. Okay, so I'm going to put the red against that edge and then my green tree. All right, so those are going to be kind of linked together. And then I think this one will be one where it would be to my benefit to take some heat resistant tape and just go like that. This piece is not going to move now. Like I can move it around. I can put it wherever I want. Okay, so I think that that's what we need to do first. Okay, so I've got everything ready. And then, so the question is, if I put a tree in the middle, like right here, how many could I get down the row. And by doing it this way, I'm actually kind of using the top of my ruler to line everything up. And I actually think that's way easier than what I did before. We're going to take a look at the line. Make sure we like the line up. And again, I think if it's microscopically off, you know, I don't think somebody's going to notice really. All right, I'm going to bring in the mat. And I think I can do about half and half. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to press this down. I'm going to monitor the project. Okay. So I'm going to come down here on this end, and I'm going to start pulling this up. And if it looks like it's not wanting to stay down, I'm just going to put the carrier sheet right back down. Okay, this has laid down so nicely. All right. Look how pretty that is. And you could give these like one to a person with stuff, like I was saying earlier, or you could give an entire set. Okay, last one. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself a very nice crisp press down here. So here, we are gonna work smarter this time. I am going to cut apart these little candy canes, and then these, I'm going to cut these down. I think what would be easiest is to kind of make this a pointed end down here where this diamond is. I'm going to do that for all of them. And then I can just put the diamond right under the edge of that candy cane right there. Perfect. Okay, see? Third time is the charm. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just turn all of these into like sharpened little pencils. And I'm going to try and keep my fingers out of the way. Okay, but that looks really good. So that was a win. And that went way faster. Okay, that went super fast. That, my friends, is the key. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my pillowcase. I'm going to grab my little ruler friend here. I'm going to put that black line back on the bottom of this pillowcase. I think that worked really well. So then we want this one right here in the middle. Okay, so I'm just pressing down the candy cane part, and I'm just using the edge of the ruler to line up, make sure it's in a nice line, and then we'll do it again over here. All right, and then we got one more over here. Perfect. Look how fast that went. That's fantastic. Okay, and then I'm just gonna pull, oh, that was not fantastic. That'll be an easy fix. Okay, all those are down, those are down. This, there's a lot of extra transfer sheet there. I wonder, is that, how far apart are those? Making sure, oh yeah, that's spot on actually. All right, and here we go. I'm just gonna do half and half again. Or actually, maybe I'll just do it in thirds. All right, this third one turning out so nice. This went so fast. So next time I do this, I will be able to go so much faster. And again, if you just use one color all the way down the row, then you can just have it cut out in the row itself, like all together, and then just lay it down all at one time. But if you're wanting to do different colors, requires a little something extra. Okay, let's get this. Okay, and that. And look at that, that looks so good. All right, my friends, this concludes today's video in my 2025 Christmas crafting series. These came out great. Now, I know that this one probably made you cringe thinking that this was way more work than you would want to put in, but everybody's brain works a little different. So I had to kind of figure out for myself that the way I did this one, maybe not as efficient. This one, I got a little more efficient, and this one, this went so fast. So next time I do these, I'm gonna work it like I did here, and then I can just churn these out. So hopefully I was able to inspire you and just kind of give you a little bit of insight as to what works and what doesn't work as well. But let me know down in the comments, like, is this the way you would have done it here, or would you have done it completely different? I appreciate any feedback you have. Don't forget to like the video and come back for the next installment. If you're not already a subscriber, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And until I see you in the next Christmas card or craft, as always, have an amazing day and happy crafting. Thank you all so much for watching today. I'm so glad that you can join me at my craft table. If you're not already, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when new videos arrive. Have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.